So in the studio, the first thing I do when I come in is I want to make sure that the board is normal so that then I know where I'm starting from. So I know where to look when something goes wrong. And so what I usually do is I start from the top of each channel and make sure that all the inputs are down. I make sure that none of these buttons, the USB return, are pushed down. I want them all up. I don't really worry about these in the middle here because we're not really using any of those. I look to make sure that all of the tracks are panned to the center. I want to make sure that the master 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are pushed in. And so the thing that I just kind of run my fingers over it to feel if something is sticking up. What I have noticed is that people get nervous in here when it's not working and they start pushing a lot of buttons. And so some common ones that I notice are this PFL is pushed down on some of these tracks. And so the good thing is if one of these PFL buttons is pushed down, this red light shows up here. Okay. And so that helps me know to find one. Sometimes people are pushing in the red mute button also, which would mute a channel. And so I just want to make sure those are all up before I start. All the faders are down. So now to record from this microphone, I'm going to plug the mic in. If there's not a cable here, it would be in the drawer. Correct. At the bottom. And so I'm going to plug this microphone in, and I'm going to choose to plug it into a channel that's higher than 1 or 2. So I'm going to put it into 3, 4, 5, or 6.
And why would you choose a channel that's higher than 1 and 2?
Because ultimately the computer playback happens on channels 1 and 2. It's normaled there. Okay. And so it's easier to use 1 and 2 only for playback from the computer.
Okay.
And you don't have to keep switching between is it an input or is it an output.
Wonderful.
And so I'm going to just plug this into 3. And when I plug it in, I make sure everything is down. Board was totally normaled. Then after it's plugged in, that's when I turn on phantom power.
Good.
So the phantom power needs to be off before you plug that mic in.
Correct. I did know that one.
So now we've got a mic that's plugged into channel 3 on this mixer. And so then in my head, what I'm thinking is, okay, the signal is coming in here on channel 3. So correct. I start at the top of the strip here. The first thing I need to do is I need to give it some input gain so that we've got a signal. And then I'm going to look at these 2 buttons. The one that's on the left is a high pass filter that we're not using. It Correct. Should be up because that's the normal position.
Right.
The USB return button, I want to make sure that's up also because I'm not listening back right. from the computer. I want it to be an input.
Excellent.
So I leave that up, which was the normal position. I don't worry at all about any of these in the middle here. I leave the pan set to center so that my one mono signal is coming up equally on both sides.
Both channels, yeah.
Then I'm going to pull up my fader on 3 that matches with this.
Yes.
So now I've got a signal that's coming from the mic. It's going down this cable into mic 3 input. It's coming in channel 3 here, and it's going to come down here. So now the way the mixer works is you want to take and combine maybe a bunch of signals together. And so the combination happens in these buttons here, the MST, the master, 1 and 2, and 3 and 4. And so normally those are pushed down, and so those should stay down so that anything that's coming in on this channel here will get sent over here, which is the output portion of the mixer.
Correct.
So now, then the question is what, where do we want this sound to go? And so if we want to hear what's happening on this microphone through the speakers, we have to turn up 1 and 2. I'm going to be pretty conservative.
And because you're doing that, it's because the output is 1 and 2, isn't that correct?
So the output of 1 and 2 goes to these powered speakers.
Correct.
Right, so there's an amplifier and a speaker here. And so
right.
it's going to here, if we want to hear the sound in the room, I need to turn up 1 and 2.
Okay, good.
Now, I'm being very conservative about this because now I have a mic, an open mic, right next to this speaker, and so there's a real possibility of feedback.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to kind of move away a little bit here, and if we if we talk, you can hear that it's coming through. It's coming through the speakers now. Do you hear the sound
Yes, I
through
do.
those speakers?
Yes, it's wonderful.
And so that's just for the speakers.
Correct.
All that's feeding is these speakers. It doesn't send a signal to the computer.
Right.
It doesn't. So if you're going to record in here, chances are good that you want to keep those speakers off so that you can listen on headphones. So to listen on headphones, the headphones are plugged right into the mixer,
Right.
and there's a little phones level here.
Right.
So this phones level, if you turn this up, you should be able to hear what's happening on this microphone into the headphones. So now, to get the sound from the mixer into Logic, I'm going to open up a Logic project,
Right.
and I'm going to create a new empty project.
Yep.
And the first thing I need to choose here is what kind of track I want.
Right.
And so the kind of track that I want is an audio track. It's
Correct.
real audio coming from this mixer.
Mm-hmm.
And the input that I want to choose matches whatever channel I'm coming in on the mixer.
Correct. So if you're running channels 1 and 2 to the speakers,
Well, what's happening? Where is our mic going now?
well, our mic is going to the speakers, to the headphones.
Where does the mic come into the mixer? Where did we plug it in?
We plugged it in over here.
Uh-huh. And what channel is it going into?
It would be going into channels 3 and 4, correct?
No.
I thought the output was
So
1
the
and
mic
2.
signal. So now this is when you really want to
Right.
do signal flow, right?
Yes.
So you speak into this mic.
Right.
The mic turns it into an electrical signal. It travels on this cable. It comes in here.
Correct.
What channel is this coming up on the mixer?
Well, it's coming up on 3.
And so that's here, right?
Yes.
So your input needs to match where your mic is.
So it wouldn't be 3 and 4, it would just be 3. Is
right,
that
because
correct?
it's only one device, right? One channel. So we're going to set our input here to listen on
Channel.
whatever's happening on channel 3.
Correct.
If you choose some channel other than the channel the mic is plugged into, it's not going to get a signal, right? Because the mic is now, it doesn't
And
have to
what
be.
I was doing was I was doing 3 and 4. That's where I was
Oh,
making a
well,
mistake.
that would be okay. I mean, it would give you one channel of nothing and a channel of
Okay.
the signal.
'Cause that's
but-
what I did last time I was in here. I did 3 and 4.
And so we're gonna just choose input that matches our mic, whatever one you plugged it into.
Right.
We happen to choose 3 this time, and we're gonna make a new track. And you'll notice when I made this new track, it comes up here, and it's actually already showing me
Yep.
that it's getting signal.
Yep. I can see it.
Right. So
Yep.
now, if I wanna record this signal, I'm just gonna turn the speakers off again.
Thank you.
If I want to record this into Logic, into this track in Logic, I'm going to press the record button. It does a little countdown, so don't start talking right away. Right? I'm going to wait until I start seeing that it's actually recording here, and I'm going to speak right into the microphone and record my announcing.
Yes.
And so then I've got this little tiny little bit of announcing. If I double click on this region here, I want to normalize it. So I want to bring up the volume as much as I can here. So I'm going to double click it, and I get this little editor window down here.
Yep.
Then I'll click File. So I'm clicking, it comes up Track by default.
Right.
I'm going to click File, and over here in the Functions menu is Normalize.
Yes.
And so that will normally, you can see that just gave me a much nicer looking signal. So now, if I want to hear this, where I have to think, well, where does the output of the computer come up? How do I hear the computer, right?
We have to bring up 1 and 2.
So it's normal to 1 and 2 on this mixer. So
Right.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down my mic. I'm finished recording.
Right.
Avoid feedback possibilities.
Yes.
I'm going to pull up, I'm going to say, okay, it comes in on 1 and 2. And this isn't going to work, but let me just prove to you it's not going to work. So if I press return, and return gets you back to
Right.
the beginning.
Back to the same thing.
So I'll play this file, and I can see that it's got levels, I
Yeah.
can see that it's doing something,
we can't
but
hear
I can't
anything.
hear it. So there's a few things to check. So the first thing I'm going to check is when this comes into 1 and 2, when these act as outputs
Right.
instead of like a mic input, I have to press that USB return. I want the return out of the computer to play back here.
As you mentioned before.
So now these are up. Let's try it again. Nothing, right?
Nope.
Playing back, but no sound.
Can't hear a thing.
So what would be wrong? Where does it go after here?
It goes into the headphones.
How would we hear it in the room?
Well, we'd put it on the speaker.
How do we get it on the speaker?
We have to bring up over here. We have to bring it up,
Yep.
which is the master.
Nope.
No. Wait a minute. Don't say anything. 3 and 4.
Nope.
Did I get it wrong again?
You have
1 and
more
2.
choice.
1 and 2. It's the only one left.
So 1 and 2 are what goes to the speakers. We should probably just label it. It's a silly.
Well,
thing, but
I should know this.
so 1 and 2 goes to the speakers. So now I'm going to turn up the speakers.
Right.
And now try playing our logic back.
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna wait until I start seeing that
And
it's
so
Yeah.
yeah, keep playing it.
actually
Right.
recording
And
here.
this changes the volume.
Speak right into
here.
the microphone and record my announcing.
So if you look over here, though, Christopher, this is what changes
It's
the
controlling
volume
the volume.
that are in the speakers, right?
Right.
And so now you've got a signal that's coming into the mixer, and then into Logic, and then out of Logic back through the mixer.
Okay.
So this should be the extent of what you.
I think it is. I
What
think this
you'll
is
need.
very helpful.